How would your life change if you take all of the chaos and all the disorder, and rather than allow it to knock you off your course, you harnessed it and funneled it into the making of something extraordinary? Because how does your creativity grow when the rules you rely on fall apart? Growth doesn't come from staying in our comfort zones, but it does come from stepping out of them and learning to thrive in disorder. While order feels safe, chaos has the power to force you to innovate, unlocking your creativity while demanding that you are resilient. So if you're anything like me and you want to consider how the messiness of life can be turned into the secret of progress, then I'm sure that by the end of this chat, we'll have made ourselves aware of just how the unpredictability of chaos can become our greatest ally. If you don't know, my name is Chad Joshua, and I'm working my way towards writing a 100-song catalog. I write songs about populism, freedom, and liberty, and this is my artist channel, which I use to promote those songs. In my free time, I like to have these discussions to consider the things that we can implement into our efforts towards our goals, and I thought that today we could consider chaos and all of its messy unpredictability, and how rather than being knocked off of our course by it, we can make ourselves aware of the potential to make use of it as a tool. So how exactly does your life change whenever you start to see chaos as an opportunity rather than a threat? We may just be predisposed to the attraction of stability and order because it provides us with an illusion of control, and it is certainly more comfortable than turmoil or upheaval. But there's a problem that comes with the rigid structure that allows for that type of stability. It limits creativity because the circumstance is so confined. There is no need for us to make a practice of adaptability, and there aren't any new possibilities. Chaos isn't exactly the opposite of order, but it is a circumstance or spark that spawns a necessity for creativity and action. As a songwriter, in these past years I've been writing songs that have to do with our fight to preserve our sovereignty and our freedom while we've experienced this emerging technocratic government rollout worldwide. And these Marxist global elite have used their corporate assets and their influence on government to implement what is known as a Cloward-Piven strategy, which is meant to overwhelm the systems of our government worldwide in order to destabilize them. They have this strategy that they call problem, reaction, solution, wherein they make a problem, they use their control and influence of media, stoke a desired reaction, and then from another position, they use other agencies that are within their grasps to offer a solution to the problem that they created. Now, if all of that sounds chaotic, it's because it's intended to be. It's intended to be so disruptive and provocational that rather than live with the discomfort that they've just created, we volunteer our own selves into the acceptance of their trap in order to buy our way out of the turmoil that they created. Now, you might be saying, Chad, what does that have to do with anything? And I can only tell you that all of that chaos and all of that terror that has been happening these last 5 years since the rollout, Agenda 21, every song that I've written and published has been inspired and in response to the antics of these tyrants. And I'm certainly not celebrating this kind of chaos. I'd like the normal kind back, but it does illustrate the point, at least in terms of the emotional state of this, for me as I perceive it, and how it so distinctly compels me to write and to put the songs out there in my effort to do even just such a small part to amplify the message. But there's all kinds of things that come along that change us and shape us. There are all these moments that we pass through where we're forced to find a solution or just give over to whatever the chaos is. And if it is that you are not spineless, then you haven't any choice but to pick yourself up and move through it, to find a solution, to harness that disruption. And the idea of harnessing that disruption is a little bit outside of it, a little bit meta as you're looking down at the chaos. But it's in fact what's happening. And a more physical example of this would be some circumstance where you're in your project, you're working towards getting something accomplished, and maybe you have a particular piece of gear that's broken or something that's not working well, but you're under some time constraint. that you don't have time to source a replacement, and then you are forced to be innovative and thrive and find a workable solution. And it's these types of moments where you figure something out that could work. How often do you do that and you turn around and look at what you just finished and you realize that made the project? It's what was distinct about it. It's whatever solution that you found, it defined the project with some unique characteristic that made it distinct. It's that confluence of events that take place, and you standing in the middle, being responsible for the whole outcome, getting yourself into that Zen moment where there's nothing you can do. So you just empty out all of your internal processing and exhale, and then suddenly a notion strikes you. What if I did this? And the next thing you know, you're patching it into the works. Just had yourself a stroke of genius. And all of that was predicated by the extraneous circumstance that forced you to have to think out of the box. So what is one way that chaos has pushed you to grow? And what exactly does creativity thriving in the unknown look like? First, we have to juxtapose the two together. Structure and spontaneity, they're both important. That structure, it builds the foundation. It provides us with the stability to actually make a go of it. But chaos, it forces unexpected thinking, and that creates for unexpected breakthroughs. When the stability and the structure is broken, innovation is fueled. Famous discoveries and ideas often come from accidents or disruptions. So rather than wait for all the stability and all of the structure to resume, what is it that you could make right now out of the mess? What could you do to pry yourself away from the upheaval of the circumstance? Because in a moment like this, you're free to do what it takes. Chaos forces you to adapt, pivot, and to push through discomfort. All of that helps you to build resilience. Adversity sharpens problem solving and perseverance. All of your strength, it isn't about avoiding problem, the commotion. All of your strength is about having the capacity to navigate through it. So rather than fighting it, railing against the uncontrollable, maybe you go with the flow just a little bit, because fighting all of the unpredictables wastes energy and creates frustration. But how do you go about making an effort of all of this? It starts by reframing disruptions as opportunities to pivot. You focus on small, intentional actions that create momentum. All of the chaos becomes an opportunity for progress when you focus on movement instead of control. Again, it's like a river. You can't stop the current, but you can learn how to navigate it. Instead of fearing the unknown, maybe view it as an opportunity. View it as a chance to explore something you wouldn't have otherwise. Stay focused. Focus on adaptability. Don't worry about perfection, at least for now. And remember that process are rarely linear. By embracing these practices, how to navigate chaos, you become more flexible and creative. That all lends to you being unstoppable. Force, something like jazz music, unpredictable, but when you lean into it, it's harmonious. Trust the process, no matter how messy it gets. And the next time you feel out of control, ask yourself, what does this moment have to teach me? And lean into that. Disorder isn't the enemy, par for the course. When you capitalize on it and use it as an ingredient, secret sauce, you'll be better ready to innovate, stay resilient, and be unstoppable. In the meantime, keep your head up, and I'm gonna keep mine up. If you haven't had a chance to hear my new song, you can listen to it there. We'll talk again soon.